Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Toon Review. Tonight is the review, and, well, I don't think, well, it could be a spicy one. It may not be, depending on what people's thoughts are on the game. Mine is of the opinion that we were goddamn rotten yesterday. I did the instant reaction. I thought we were terrible. It's all right having 70-odd% possession, but when you go sideways and backwards most of the time, you're not going to get anywhere. And it is frustrating. But one thing I'd like to say straight off the bat is that just because I think Newcastle was shit yesterday does not mean that I'm not for Eddie Howe, that I'm not thinking that we're going places and we're better than we were. Because I am. I am sick to death of anyone that criticizes one performance, but then people jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, look where we were last year. Look at this, look at that. So what? It's still okay to say we were crap yesterday because we were. So if I'm not going to sit here and no one else on this channel is going to sit here and go, oh, you know, I know we didn't win, but we did. We were crap. And, you know, we have to call out when we're crap and when we're not crap. If we're brilliant, I'll say it. I'll say it. But when we're crap, I'll also say we're crap. Mm-hmm. And yesterday was a terrible game of football. We started lackluster. It stayed lackluster, and we wouldn't have got a point had we not got that penalty. It's as simple as that. We could have played all night and never scored. We've got a £60 million striker up front who cannot get the ball because he's on a higher level to the rest of the dumpsters that were playing alongside him yesterday. Honestly, I mean, Ryan Fraser, what does he do? Absolutely nothing. Miggy has got no right foot. 4 times in the first half alone, Miggy could have whipped that ball in first time if he had a right foot. But no, he stops, he spins back, the attack's gone. Bournemouth players are back in position. And it happens time and time and time again. And the criticism I have for Eddie Howe is, why does he continue with inverted wingers? Why not just try them on the proper wings with a proper foot so they can whip the first time balls in, even if it's just for 15, 20 minutes, just to see if it changes anything. Because time after time, Miggy is just spinning to get it back on his left foot. By the time he's on his left foot, the only option is to roll it back to Trippier, and then it goes sideways again. It isn't good enough. And, you know, we may well be good enough to to play against the top teams because we get up for them games. But we cannot, and this has happened for year after year now, we struggle to break down the smaller teams because they park the bus and we just haven't got what it takes to get behind them. Danielle, your thoughts?
I felt it was a toothless performance. I felt there was no urgency at all. I felt like our defence everywhere else was appalling. I thought Isak had no service. Pretty much after the 20th minute, I thought it was going to be one of those games, and I was right. Very frustrating considering we could come out against Manchester City. Fair enough, we didn't have Saint, but in put in a performance, and Bournemouth we couldn't. Very frustrated, very flat. Just because we miss Saint, we're missing. We've got nothing creative.
He's the only driving force that we have, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. We could do with in the midfield. I know Bruno was back, but I feel like we need John Joe back. ASAP.
Absolutely. We miss him. We miss his passing. We miss his over-the-top balls. Isak will thrive under him because time after time yesterday, Isak made some brilliant runs and he just did not get the ball. And he was getting frustrated. He got frustrated in the second half where he lost the ball and had to sprint all the way back and gave away a free kick. And it's just bah. But listen, Tom says here, evening, yesterday was frustrating. We weren't good enough, but there's going to be bumps in the road. We'll be fine. In Eddie we trust. Anyone booing or wanting Eddie out on monumental bell ends.
Well said, Tom.
Indeed, people were booing at the end. Now, that may be because of frustration that we didn't win the game, all right? You'll always get that when you don't win a game that you're expected to win and you play as badly as that, you're going to get the boo boys. It's just, if you got 52,000, whether you agree with it or not, 52,000 fans in the stadium, you're going to get them, right? However, anybody stating that they want Eddie Howe out is ridiculous. Now, yes, I said they were shit yesterday, that team, and I think Eddie made a couple of mistakes, but Christ almighty, it does not mean that I don't believe in what Eddie Howe is doing. You know, it's one off. We played crap. We move on to the next one. But you have to just the fan base have to calm down when people just give criticism, because you can't just praise them and sing la la hymns all the time. It doesn't work. There is going to be times where we don't play well, and there is going to be times where we will sit and say we didn't play well, like yesterday. I mean, Billy, what was it like for commentating? I mean, it was one of them games again.
Yeah, you're hoping rather than, sometimes you see a goal coming, but you just could never see it. It was just so predictable. Same old every time. There was no plan B. If I have any criticism of Eddie Howe, it's the fact he's not very flexible in the way he approaches the game. Like you say, I think swapping of the wings. I thought maybe moving Mig into a more central position and helping Isak, especially when they had 4 centre halves on at the end and 2 full-backs as well. We're not going to break them down with 3 players. No way on God's earth. So I just felt if plan A isn't working, he doesn't seem to have a plan B sometimes, and that's down to the fact he hasn't got a squad. I don't think it's down to anything else.
I mean, Yeat comes out here and says what we witnessed yesterday was lack of proper investment on the bench. We could have got good cheap players like Maxwell Corney, etc., but we didn't. Let's not hide from it, and I think that has to be said.
I agree.
We were screaming out for a couple of extra players. We all said it on many different channels and social media that we needed a little bit more depth, because we didn't have the quality coming on the pitch to what we were replacing it with during substitutions. And the 5 substitution rule will hurt us. That's why you will hardly ever see us at the minute bringing 5 subs on, because we've mainly got defenders sitting there. By the way, if you're wondering where Stato is, he'll be joining us in around 10, 15 minutes or so. He's just had to run a few family errands tonight, so he will be with us as soon as he can. Michael, good evening to you, buddy. Hi, everyone. Remember to keep comments respectful, no caps or duplicate comments, and enjoy the show. Michael is, of course, now a moderator.
As well as chairman.
Sorry?
As well as chairman.
That's right, yes. Ian says, it's a choice sheet by average now on inflated money and long contracts, or build slowly and sign class players. I know what I'd prefer, to be fair. Yep. Well, this is where everyone's got opinions, Danielle, and it's, again, you get the arseholes coming at you just because you dare say a criticism against Newcastle United, or, it's the other way. People have got to be allowed to have their opinions and talk about it like grown people.
It's Newcastle United fan base. You're not allowed an opinion. Come on, we all know that. You're not allowed an opinion, be that on a YouTube video or on a social media site. Regardless of what that opinion may be, somebody somewhere will disagree, and more likely to be social media, because you don't have to identify who you are, will then make a point of calling you out on your opinion, and that's just the way things are, unfortunately. But yeah, I think everyone, 52,000 people have 52,000 opinions, don't they? A lot of them differ, and I just feel like, yes, the bench is poor, very poor, but we weren't going to replace the squad in 2 windows. It's going to take a lot longer if that's the plan that they're wanting to do in terms of the quality of player they're bringing in. But I agree with you. I mean, when you look at, the dugout and you see Jacob standing there, doesn't fill you with great
it doesn't.
Hope, does it?
And but, I think, people have said St James's was quiet yesterday, and it was. I mean, obviously, with no flags there, and for the right reasons, no music played in respect. And by the way, impeccable minute silence. It was incredible.
Well, apart from the box behind me, who decided to have a party during the minute silence.
But mainly it was, it was impeccable. I mean, it was, but. The players on that pitch have got to give the fans something to shout about. We will respond to the players being up for the game, and they just
just felt like the ball got to midfield, and they didn't fancy it. I couldn't. Last 20 minutes, I was like, why are you passing it back? Why are you doing that?
It's really frustrating. It got back to the point of, dare I say it, Bruce ball in that last 20 minutes where we were sideways and backwards again and then just pumping it long.
I don't understand.
It doesn't.
It doesn't fit anything about Eddie Howe's mentality and his team and how they play. So,
but you look at the players on the pitch at the end, Danielle, and that's why. You know, we put. What is the point of bringing Chris Wood on in the last minute of the game of normal time? I mean, you know, whatever we say against Chris Wood, what is that going to do?
Can't change the game, I suppose. I mean, they were probably hoping for a last-minute header, maybe, or. But in order for that to happen, you can
say that, Danielle. But again, the set pieces and the crosses were awful. It was either straight to the goalkeeper or we couldn't beat the first man. I don't know whether that came across on commentary, Billy. But again, you know, and I mentioned at the start there the fact that Miggy had ample opportunities to whip that ball in first time. And this day and age, on the money that these guys are on, you're telling me they can't practice with the wrong foot. Why aren't they in training practicing crossing with their other foot?
It's been a bugbear of mine for years. I mean, years ago, players kick with both feet. Simple as that. And if you didn't kick with both feet, you weren't a professional footballer. Simple as that. I just want to say that after 75 minutes, Bournemouth brought on a third centre-half to go into their back, made it a 5. And it took us till Bournemouth brought a fourth centre-half on until we brought another striker on. I found that very strange and very reactive management. I've got to be perfectly honest. We were never going to score them. Sunday's won against 4 centre-halves unless we were breaking from midfield, and the only one that was Willock. So, yeah, I just felt...
Well, he's been getting pelters as well.
They came to defend and get a point, and they got one. And
absolutely.
Point, win.
And you know what? That's not Bournemouth's fault. You know, that Bournemouth have had some absolute pastings away from home this season, and Gary O'Neill's come in and he's definitely made a difference. There is no doubt about that. They played for him yesterday, and yes, you can say, the time wasting or the staying down injured and stuff like that. But you know what? We've done that. All right, we've done that, and every team does it. But when you're Bournemouth and you try and get a point at St James's Park, who this season are expected to be challenging for Europe. Everybody expected us to be there. So to get a point is a magnificent result for them. And they could have got all 3 had it not been for a penalty. And when you've got Isak having to come back into the midfield to get the ball because he's just not getting it up front. He was making some lovely runs and probably didn't come across on the TV because the TV will just be focusing on the ball. But the runs he was making, and then Fabian Schär, I want to pick him out as well because the distribution from our centre-backs yesterday was so slow. I mean, Danielle, I don't know whether you picked it up, but instead of hitting Trippier's standing free on the right-hand side and Target on the other side numerous times with nobody on them, yet the defenders are having a couple of touches before they're playing the ball out. Now, I watched Arsenal today at Brentford and watched their centre-backs. As soon as they got it, first time out of this to the wing.
I didn't get it. I couldn't comprehend what was going on, and there was people going mad, just shouting, "Trippier's free! Trippier's free!"
Yeah,
and it was just like completely like.
Lloyd Dan Burn put a pair of dot mines on because he was overhitting every pass he hit. He was hitting them so hard, 3 yards, not target.
Well, he hit one at target in the second half. First half. It almost took his head off, and he's only 5 yards away from him. Richard says, everyone, including the Toon Review team, with up to 6-0 predictions, sorry, Paul, is getting far too carried away. I admit to also thinking we'd be winning more, but teams are setting up differently against us now. Right, 2 points on that, Richard. I agree with you 100%. I think it's time that we started maybe just lessening down on the high score and wins, because the only reason I think the rest of the guys predicted a good win was because of our last performance, frustrating, not getting the points, VAR going against us. I thought they might have come out and wanted to score a few goals.
Bruno coming back.
Sorry?
Potentially Maxi as well.
Coming back and having that, influence in midfield. But yeah, I kind of agree. But I think in the moment when you're kind of doing a preview show, and you're talking about, everything that's happened and, the team, etc. And you do get carried away, I think, at times. Like, I'm notorious for it. Everyone knows it. Like,
the Bournemouth, though, Danielle, you want to see us score some goals. You know what I mean?
I know.
And we've got a £60 million striker there. And people who can't even get the ball to him. The crossing, diabolical. And I agree, Richard, teams are setting up against us differently, especially the teams at the lower end of the table will be doing that. But that's up to us and these players on the pitch and the management to try something different. And he didn't yesterday. It was the same. There was no change of tactics to try and win the game. He just changed like for like, basically. And that's the frustrating thing. He doesn't think, right, why don't I try going 4-4-2 or something like that? Or just, for the last 10 minutes. Because, look, Bournemouth were sitting back in that second half for the last 20 minutes because they knew they'd got a point out of this game if they just stayed disciplined.
Yeah.
But we didn't try anything different to get it out to win the game. And that is the frustrating thing. Gary says, I've calmed down after the game yesterday. Positives were we were dominant, hit the woodwork twice, and we're in a better position than last year. Look, we've got to forget last year, right? Last year is gone, okay? Yes, we are a different club to where we were this time last year, right? Or very close to it, because obviously we're coming up to take over anniversary. But yes, we're a different club, completely different football club. But we've got to try and stop saying, look where we were last year now, because we're into this season now. Last year's gone. It's this season. And yeah, we hit the woodwork again, but the goals aren't coming.
No, they're not.
And that's the worrying thing. Yes, I know we're without ASM and Callum Wilson, but we should have put Bournemouth to bed yesterday. They're not a great side.
No,
Neither. We should have beaten Crystal Palace because you're right what you say. Lots of possession, but that's lots of possession going sideways and backwards. You're not going to score goals by that way, Billy.
No, because Isak doesn't, as such, run the channels, and if he is, they're not looking out for him. We need more creativity in the middle of the park. Absolutely no doubt about it. We need more creativity on the widths as well. And we're lacking that. And we need Shelby back so we can push Bruno further up. Definitely. And they were very clever yesterday as well. They shoved the man on Joe Linton for minute one. They shoved Philip Billing straight on his back. Joe Linton was really quiet yesterday. He tried his hardest, but yeah, they nullified him. And obviously with Fraser next to him, it was easy to do that. With Maxi next to him, you can't afford to kind of isolate one man, can you? Because you have to keep men on for Maxi. But Ryan Fraser's so easy to mark. I'm afraid it was quitting the leads for Bournemouth in that respect.
You know what? I don't see the point. I really don't see the point Ryan Fraser playing at all. He offers nothing. I mean, he had that shot. Okay, he had a shot from outside the box. He's a professional footballer. So, he put a shot on goal. But there was just, everything was wrong yesterday. There wasn't many plus points that came from the game. We're playing Bournemouth, and look, Bournemouth and Crystal Palace would be two games that we'd be looking at the start of the season saying, right, we should be looking for 6 points there. We've got 2, right? We're on the same points as Bournemouth, right? Who we know have took some absolute pastings this season, but we're level on points with them, guys. And it's for me, this has not been a great start. We've won one game, which was the first game of the season, and we haven't won since.
Been saying it for a few weeks now. We've only won one game. We were unbeaten for a while, and only one defeat. But a team that's won 2 games or 3 games is above us, and they won't lost 6. Drawing the games don't get you anywhere.
You've got to convert. I'm sorry, but we just look so lackluster in front of goal. Carl says, evening, everyone. No excuses. We weren't good enough. Players didn't turn up, and we were void of ideas. Over 2 games, nearly 45 shots and no goals from open play. That is a fantastic comment from Carl, and that's exactly what point I'm trying to make. We can't make excuses up for poor performances like yesterday. And 45 shots on goal.
But are people making excuses for it, though?
Well, I'm seeing people saying, you shouldn't. All these people saying, calling us shite and saying we played shite. Just look where we were a year ago and all of this. Why can't you just say we were crap yesterday? It doesn't mean you're a bad supporter or you don't support anyhow. You just say we were crap, and then move on. I mean,
in them 2 games, Paul, we've only had one clear-cut chance, I'd say, and that was the Isak one-on-one with with Guaita.
Absolutely.
But the rest have been set pieces, which have been shocking. Let's be honest, shocking and very predictable too.
Absolutely. And Retro Andy makes a point here. We've such a tall team, and yet we can't score a corner for the life of us. We should be punishing teams from set players. Now, these set players and corners, etc., we never aim for the tall guys.
Nah.
I mean, I saw one ball played in yesterday to Ryan Fraser.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
The guy's 2 foot tall.
A lot of the time the ball goes in, it's not aimed at anyone. That's the problem.
I mean, the perfect corner for me, Danielle and Billy, was that one at Tranmere that was whipped in by Kieran Trippier, and Chris Wood, bless him, made a dart and run across the 6-yard box and put in a fantastic header. Why are we not trying that more often with guys who are, we've got so many 6-foot-odd players, but we're not using them. And it again, like you've already said tonight, Danny, it does not make any sense.
No, it doesn't. I don't understand the plan. I don't understand what the plan is, and you know, I don't want to be that person that's like overly critical, because I'm sure they are working on various things on the training ground. So of course that is happening, but it's very frustrating. Very frustrating that, you know, sitting in the ground and seeing that kind of performance. You just think like we need to nip this in the bud pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they have learned one training ground routine corner, the Joe Linton short one, which worked. But that seems to be the only one apart from dumping it in the box aimlessly.
Yeah, but that was obvious that was going to be a short corner as well, because everybody saw Joe Linton go to Tate and said, "This is a short one. He's not crossing this ball in a million years."
Yeah, but he made himself he made his way into the box and got on the end of it, didn't he? In the end,
yeah,
he did. Quite clever.
He did.
Quite clever.
Yeah. Nathan says, "Am I one of the few who was there that thought Trippier had a poor game?" I don't think he had a poor game, but I do think his crossing was poor.
Yeah,
very poor. And he could have done much better with his crossing. I was disappointed with his crossing, but I thought, you know, but then again, when you're standing on the you know, touchline screaming for the ball for 20 minutes before the centre backs actually decide to give you it, you've got a problem straight away. We welcome in Dr. Stato. Good evening, bud.
Hey, evening. How are we doing, guys?
Well, we're all right. We've just been having a good rant on for 20 minutes. I mean, look, I've just been saying, Alex, you know, I said we were shocking. We were shit yesterday, right? And people are going, oh, yeah, you know, how dare you say we were shit? You know, these people, God forbid, you can't come out and say, just because we had a bad game, everybody thinks, oh, you hate Eddie Howe or you hate Newcastle and all of that kind of stuff, because God forbid you say any negative. But we were poor yesterday, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been too much different to recent performances, to be fair. I think it's very possible that a couple of those shots that hit the post go in, and everybody is talking nicely about the performance, even though there still is underlying issues.
But we've been saying this for a long time now, Alex, though, hitting the post, etc. With, you know, the amount of possession we have. But I think yesterday, what me and Danielle have been saying from when we were in the ground was the amount of sideways and backwards passing again. It was very, very, you know, we just didn't have a clue. And nothing was changed as to tactics-wise to try and win the game. In the last 20 minutes, Bournemouth literally parked the bus and just looked for a quick counter-attack. We didn't change anything. It was sideways, backwards, and then a long ball in. And we just had no ideas.
Yeah, I mean, normally I don't like the early Chris Wood substitution, but with the way we were playing, I probably would have liked an earlier Chris Wood substitution, because we were playing so many balls into the box. It would have made more sense to have Chris Wood. And you know, I'm a big fan of Miggy, but when it's appropriate, and it's appropriate when we've got Wilson and Maxi, because then his pressing makes sense. Whereas with Fraser on the opposite side, there's more onus on him to do things that he's just not capable of doing. He's an okay player, but that is it. He's an okay player, and that is all he will ever be. And I've accepted the fact I don't think he's going to get to that next stage. He's still useful, still very useful. But if it's somebody who's not Maxi on the other side, or who's not as clinical as Wilson, you know, Wilson's used to feeding off absolutely nothing, and he's very clinical. Isak still. I've seen a lot of criticisms for Isak's performance as well. I don't think he did that bad. I thought he was fine.
Alex, no way. Because I've just been saying, when you were in the ground yesterday, you look at the amount of runs he was trying to make, and he just wasn't picked out. and he got very frustrated by the time the second half came around.
People criticising some of the runs or positioning. It's like, I'll say the same thing I say about Willock. He's 23. Give him a little bit. He's scored 2 in 3, arguably 3 in 3 for the offside goal. I mean, he's doing
look
fine.
at the way he took his penalty. I mean, fabulous penalty that. I mean, no goalkeeper in the world was saving that. And
side netting, mental.
Yeah, just incredible. But I'm saying the amount of runs he was making, Alex, and just not being picked out. There is where we missed John Joe badly, and I think somebody like that. Then Bruno can go a bit further forward. We definitely miss Maxi because Maxi is a driving force. And I think it stands out a mile when he's not in the team. No matter what you think of Maxi and how frustrated he gets at times.
Indeed.
At least he gives us that attacking impetus, which we just did not have yesterday.
All the stat people all over Twitter, Sanjay and Kev, I'll give shout outs to. We've all been whinging. We need Shelvey back because it means Bruno can play a bit further forward. And we need Maxi back because, I understand he ball hogs sometimes and his right-footed cutting shots can be a bit limp and that fine, fair enough. But he makes space and we needed a bit more space yesterday because we just couldn't get the ball through to anyone. So we're desperate for Shelvey being back would be so important. It would just help everybody with a bit more quality go forward. And Max is just so integral, so integral.
Paul Tully, thank you for your £5 super chat, mate. He says, is it too much to ask to put one of our best passers in Bruno further forward to make those beautiful passes to Isak, who's ideal for that style? Well, look, I mean, Longstaff came on yesterday and was dreadful. I mean, dreadful. He was falling over. He was slow again, picked off the ball numerous times. Just awful. So what do you do? I mean, you've got somebody who you have a little bit of confidence in with Bruno playing that role, even though we don't like him that far back, or Longstaff. And I'm sorry, I know which one I'd pick every day of the week. That is why we so badly miss John Joe Shelvey, because he just looks up and he's got us on the attack very quickly. And Alex, I don't know what you thought. We were just talking about before you came on, this just how slow we were. The two centre-backs passing the ball yesterday when we've got Trippier and Target screaming on the touchlines for the ball. And, looking at Arsenal today when their centre-backs were getting the ball, pinging it straight out. It was just so slow.
I mean, I love Fabian Schär. He's one of my favourite players. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, but I think he had a very poor performance yesterday. I think Dan Burn had his worst performance in the black and white shirt. I'm very confused why. I don't know who does the ratings for the Chronicle. Whoever it is, I think you've had a mare because you voted Dan Burn the highest rating of an 8. I think Dan Burn had his worst game in a black and white shirt. I'm confused by that.
Well, Billy,
his passing from the back was erratic.
He had Doc Martens on.
He kept... Even without being under pressure, his little dink passes forward were up to people's chests, and people were having to scramble to try and get the ball under control. He wasn't doing any line-breaking passes like Botman can do. He was messing about with it at the back a few times. I'm not asking him to play those Botman passes. If he can't do that, fair enough. But you need to be a bit tidier with it. And when we were in a dominant space in possession, and he was trying to float it out to the left wing, just the passes were so poor. They were really bobbly and bouncy. I think we missed Botman. We talked about Shelvey and Maxi, but I think Botman is a huge miss when we're against teams like that.
I didn't understand the Botman one. There was rumours
surely
going
he's
around
got to be injured because that makes no sense.
There was rumours going around that he had picked up a knock. But then
that's the point
people
in
who
buying
watched him in the warm-up saying he was sprinting around no problem. He was doing a full warm-up.
But that's the whole point in buying him, is so we can break down low blocks. So we've got centre-backs that are good enough on the ball to sit on the halfway line and play incredible passes, or to play passes from deeper. That's the whole point, because he can do switches. Like, what's the point in having a player like Botman if he's going to be on the bench for this kind of game? Because that's the sort of player that can do it. There must be more to it, because the coaching staff are well aware Botman is a decent player for that game. So there's got to be more to it, surely.
Well, it was strange to me. I mean, Billy, did anything come across when you were doing the watch-along as to why Botman wasn't in?
No, nothing at all.
Because I haven't heard anything today either.
As far as I'm concerned, if he's fit enough to sit on the bench, he's fit enough to play. And
what about Elliot Anderson?
He wasn't on the bench at all, was he? Apparently, he had a knock in training according to the Shields Gazette.
Okay.
But again, I think with Elliott in the side, we probably would have won the game because they've had more
Botman and Anderson
defence. Yeah, I think they could concentrate on marking Joe Linton because Ryan Fraser, forget marking him, and Philip Billings sat on Joe Linton for 90 minutes and did a great job. Credit where credit was due. I thought he was the best player on the park, Philip Billings. But yeah, I mean, we were so predictable on that left side with Joe Linton isolated like that.
See, Billings did a good job for me because he was getting the fans riled up as well. He was being a bit,
he was a prick, but
he was being a bit of a prick. But if you're the Bournemouth manager, you loved him yesterday for what he was doing because he was breaking play up. He was he was getting our players very frustrated. You could tell on the pitch that they were getting very frustrated as well. So hats off to him. He did what his manager probably told him to do and did it very well.
He got a bit of license from the ref, mind. He did make about 16 fouls.
Yes, mind you, right? I'd just like to say, I thought the referee did okay yesterday. After given the amount of crap we've had, yes, there was some decisions that you're always going to get that in a football match, but overall, I thought he had a good game.
I wasn't happy with the first 20 minutes, but then
I thought VAR was a joke. Make the decision. Don't send the ref to the screen. Just stop it, and just make the call. Why are you doing this? How many times is this going to happen going forward? I just can't be bothered with it.
I knew when he was going to the screen, he would give the penalty. It would have to be very brave.
You knew that, but so if you knew that, why didn't they say that?
Exactly.
Come on, it's not good enough, man. They're getting paid to do a job.
Yeah. Tangy says we tried yesterday. That's what matters. Newcastle versus Bournemouth was a far better watch than Villa Southampton on Friday. Well, if that's the case, Villa Southampton must have been absolute garbage because
it was. Jeff Stelling tweeted, "Oh dear, like that's the worst game I've ever seen." Or I can't remember.
That was not good sitting in St James's yesterday watching that, Tangy. To be honest, it really wasn't. Good evening, Doug. Hope you're well. Go and subscribe to the Dugout channel. Great football channel that Doug's got going. Regular on this channel as well. Big friend of the channel is Doug. Raymond says, "Evening all, poor performance yesterday, but things will come together." Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that as well, that things will come together. But just because I said we were shit yesterday doesn't mean that I'm not still fully behind Eddie Howe. We're allowed to say we're shit when we are.
We wouldn't be sat here if we weren't.
I mean, what people have got to remember is these big teams like, I don't know, there's been Chelsea and Arsenal, even Liverpool at times recently, where they will have dominant performances, but when they're missing 3 or 4 key players, they misfire. I think that's just what we did. We were missing 2 players, possibly 3. Botman, Maxi, and Shelvey, and I feel like we've got enough firepower to hit the predicted goals. It's the same as other teams. We've still got 9/10 of the performance in terms of the passing, being really dominant, the possession, the XG. We just needed a bit more of our quality on the pitch, which is frustrating. It does highlight that the depth isn't there, but I think we all knew that, didn't we? So yeah.
We had no cutting edge, but there is a lot of quality to come back in, and obviously we need wingers. We need Diaby or Gakpo. Well, Diaby's having a terrible season so far. No goals, 1 assist all season. So and our old mate Paqueta is getting absolutely hammered off the West Ham fans, saying that was just a panic buy, and he was hauled off again today. So
that's the difference with Eddie Howe and David Moyes. David Moyes just hauled him straight in the team. Bruno got acclimatised first.
Yeah, Paqueta definitely would have been.
Well, it's a one to keep an eye on how he does, because at the minute he's not impressing at all. Steve says, "Evening all, reality check. We need a stronger 11, let alone depth in squad." Richie says, "Booing was bullshit. Are we Everton? Players will know they weren't good enough without our fans booing." Look, like I said earlier on, you've got 52,000 fans in the stadium. You're expected to win the game. We don't play well. You are going to get people who boo at the end. It's just some of the fans will boo to show they're upset at the performance. It's not because of being nasty.
They're entitled to. It's not a cheap thing to go and watch again football these days.
Yeah, paying public, they can do what they want, quite honestly, whether you like it or not. And some of them players, yes, they'll know they played poorly, but, sometimes the fans will want to let them know. Some fans travelled a long way to watch that yesterday. Dear. Doug says he's got us guys on and the Madrid derby on the TV. Well, last I saw, Real were winning that 1-0. I don't know whether it's changed. Nathan says, "I want to see Isak out on the left in the next match. if ASM is still out, Wood can start up front. I think
Fair shout.
Maxi will be fit.
I don't know. You know,
it's 2 weeks, isn't it? 2 weeks, though, isn't it? So he should be okay by then.
International, yeah.
Surely.
Well, he's in France at the minute. So we'll see. It was frustrating, but we weren't that bad. We had hit the post twice, and the keeper made a few good saves. If you want to know what a bad looks like, refer back this time. We've got to forget last season. We just admit we played bad yesterday, sideways, backwards. We didn't. The keeper, right? You're saying the keeper made some good saves. He was tested really once with Fraser. That shot, which again, it was a comfortable save because if you watch it again, he didn't really have to stretch too far for it, right? But where else did we really test the Bournemouth goalkeeper yesterday? Because Nick Pope had the same amount of saves to make. So, you know, you can... Come on.
Well, we had 7 on target.
Yeah, but that includes the fluffed shots from Miggy, etc., that just rolled into the keeper's hands.
We're doing enough. We just need more quality. 20 shots, 13 inside the box. We got just under a 2 XG.
45 shots, Alex. Somebody put up before. 45 shots in the last 2 games. And no goals from open play.
And 20 were inside the box against Palace. 13 inside the box against Bournemouth. We literally, like I said, we're 9/10 of the way there. We're doing all the right things except putting it in the back of the bloody net. And it'd be
interesting to know how many came in open play, though. Because I don't see too many. I can remember the one that Isak had, obviously, but the open play ones.
I mean, look.
Our open play XG was 0.67. Yeah, 0.67.
Yeah.
Is that right? 0.67. Oh, yeah, because we've got an XG. The XG penalty doesn't count. So our open play XG is only 0.67. So we didn't even score like 1 goal XG from open play. So our open play was a bit off.
Wow.
Most of it came from penalties and set piece XG.
Yeah.
So,
but I've said a million times before, I know, we all know, the fans all know, we're in a very different place to where we were this time last year, right? But that's all gone now. Just because we're saying we were poor yesterday, it doesn't. I don't think. Oh, I didn't come away from that ground yesterday saying, "Oh, we were crap today." Oh, but look where we are from last year. No, we were crap. Full stop. Right? We want to be better next game, and hopefully we will be. But you know, I'm not going to sit here and do what other people do and say, "Oh, well, you know, it's not that bad." You know, come on, we tried, etc. I'm going to say, if I thought we were shite, we were shite. Right? Whether you agree with me or not, that is my opinion. As sitting in that ground for the 90-odd minutes yesterday, we were crap. Right?
You can break it down if you ask a neutral. Like if I say to you, we had 350 passes in their half, 7 accurate crosses, 13 shots inside the box. If you asked a question, how many goals do you think we scored? People wouldn't say 1. They'd say more than that, surely.
Absolutely.
Like so many dominant stats. 1 goal is not enough. And it was a penalty, let's be honest. It was a fortunate penalty at that.
Yeah. Miggy needs to learn he has another foot. Joke for a professional footballer, literally have 1 foot. He's like a Sunday League winger. Just keep him out on his weak foot and you nullify him. I mean, we mentioned this before you came on, Alex. 4 times I counted first half, at least 3 in the second, that he had an opportunity. He was played in by Trippier or whoever else it was, and he could have whipped that ball in first time to cause problems. And he didn't. He spun back on his left. And by the time he does that, the opposition have got defenders back. It goes back to Trippier and the quick attack's gone.
Yeah, I mean, that works fine if your overlap is right there. In theory, it works. But our inverted wingers are cutting in sometimes when the overlap's not there. And yeah, it allows them to regroup. And then by the time the cross comes in, they've packed the box. It wasn't getting past the first 1 or 2 Bournemouth players. And you know, people know this. After the Nottingham Forest game, after the match, I stood at the side of the pitch and shouted, "Con la derecha, Miggy," like with your right. So, like sometimes, please. I agree. I think he needs to try and stop being as predictable. If the overlap is not there, you've got to mix it up sometimes.
I think he's got to mix it up. Well, that's what me and Billy was saying. Mix it up. Try 15, 20 minutes of switching them to the other side.
This is what Maxi started to do again recently. Yeah. He started to put that bit into his game where he goes to the byline or he cuts in. He's just starting to mix it up again and get a bit of confidence. And we need that from Miggy. We need him to mix it up slightly.
Yeah.
Because I think there was one opportunity where he did actually float it in with his right foot, and I think he did it go to the keeper. I think he gave it to the keeper, but it looked a lot more dangerous than the previous attempts. So he should have tried again.
Absolutely. Guys, if you are enjoying the show tonight, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. There's still a lot of people watching the show who aren't subscribed time after time. It's free to do so. Just hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload a video. We want to get over the 14 and a half and then build up to 15. You are the guys that can help us. So please do hit the subscribe button. Dave says, absolutely, Paul. Team deserves criticism when players create nothing. When you see Fraser and Almiron on the wings, it's depressing. Need wingers in January. Steven says, should have added to the team on deadline day. Got no one on the bench. Albert says, need 2 up front, Paul. Isak needs help. Well, he needs help, but he also needs decent passes. Apart from ASM, it just shows how weak our wingers are. Truly awful. Eddie needs to start with Botman too. Bad day at the office. Yeah, that's what I put it down to. A bad day at the office. But Christ, some people don't like it. Paul, it will take at least 3 transfer windows to get to a team Eddie wants. I'm not disputing that at all. Not disputing that. Michael says, hi, Paul, Billy, Danielle. Obviously, before you came on, Alex. Hope you're all well. Paul, whiplash, okay. It was me trainers. Yeah, every time I get in the car with Michael, he gives me whiplash. But just awful driving. Turpy says, Miggy is good for the press. That's about it. Odd goal here and there, but about if he tries his heart out, though. Ab says, positives, Bruno winning the ball back, forcing the opposition to park the bus. Negatives, lack of creativity on the wings, a bit slow against the counter-attack, but overall, I'm happy. Well, that's your opinion, Abs, and I'm not going to tell you to think anything else. We've all got our different opinions, and like Annie's, yours is respected. Spike Milligan, thank you for your £10 super chat. He says, we had a hiccup, we'll improve. Exactly. Hopefully so. Nathan says, just went to get pizza out the oven and I had it on light only. Oh dear. That's not great. Ian says, top rant, and Paul, get it out, mate. Do you know when it felt good to have a rant again? I mean, I've missed
nowhere near the level of what it used to be.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, that was heart attack stuff, Danielle, and now I'm not at that stage. No. Dear me. Up the A1 says, where is Alex? Well, he's back now. 2 a night to come on. No, he had some family errands to run, and he's done that, and he's here. Spacebar says, what I do agree with is the drop-off in quality when we have a few missing, but that's not going to be changed in 2 windows. Great. Tom says, Miggy always works hard, but agree he doesn't have the end product. KB says, good evening, guys. Hope you're well on this Sunday night from Belfast. Belfast. I got it. Right. Let's just go through a couple more. Alex has got some graphics in a second. Bournemouth basically had 10 men behind the ball. We lacked that bit of creativity. Having said that, we hit the post twice and the keeper put in a worldie. A worldie?
There were a couple of very good saves, in my opinion.
I don't think he had a worldie.
He had a good game. He definitely had a good game.
Yeah. Listen, if you come away with conceding nothing but a penalty, you've had a decent game. Bill says, do you understand how difficult it is to break down teams that put 10 men behind the ball? Even Man City have this problem in games when teams just defend. Obviously, better players help. Yeah, yes, but Man City find a way.
But that's not the point. It's the fact we kept doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
We'd like a bit of flexibility.
We didn't try anything different.
Exactly.
Yeah. No wing changes, or there could have been things.
Indeed. Seattle says, did I miss something? Did we play Barcelona midweek? Because we looked knackered. So slow. Bloody sideways and backwards passing. Should we have bought 4 players of Cornet standard instead of Isak?
Interesting point.
We did look lackluster, and I don't know what the excuse is for it. I really don't.
To highlight that, Paul, their keeper was the highest rated player on their team.
Well, that's fair enough.
Being Philip Billing with the goal. He got higher rating than the goal scorer.
By the way, I haven't seen the Bournemouth goal back, but when it from live play, where the hell was the defence?
It was the centre-backs.
I just thought it was weird sitting in the leaders watching that goal because there was just no. It just seemed like there was nobody there.
Cher did
the flag to go up.
Yeah, Cher did a trend. Stood down, watched him win, and flick it over the goalie's head.
The centre-backs and a couple of people were really poor in defensive transition, and we'd committed a lot forward. We were getting frustrated we weren't winning. We've got to learn. We're trying to play like one of the big boys, and we've got to... this will happen. It will happen again. We'll get caught again. It's going to be a long process trying to develop into a top team.
Key it says, you're right, Paul, very poor yesterday. However, it will take a few more windows to get more quality into the team. Spot on about swapping the wide men over, early crosses into the box. I mean, where do you stand on the wingers, Danielle? Because, you know, it just frustrated me that nothing was changed. Nothing was attempted to try and change during the match.
Yeah, it frustrated me. But I suppose when you haven't got Maxi and then you've got Ryan Fraser stood there and we haven't got Anderson as an option, and I suppose you're limited as to really where you can go with that. I don't know. I just feel a bit flat. I feel a bit, I don't know, like at the minute. But I think we'll come back. Somebody is going to get goals pinged in against them pretty soon, I would think. Once Shelby's back, ASM's back, Wilson's back. We've got and then thankfully we've got the World Cup coming soon, so that's a nice break. And then a week of the season starting into the transfer window. I mean, that's a positive, surely.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you look at if we'd had the team that played, Man City, we would have destroyed Bournemouth yesterday. Played the way we played against Man City. But it's just this syndrome that we seem to have where we play the lesser teams in the league and we struggle, yet against the better teams, we perform really well. It's annoying.
The other option he could have done, and I was thinking about it at the time, I think I might have said it on commentary, was because Bournemouth had that many behind the ball, everyone apart from Solanke, basically. They could have swapped Almiron and Willock around and put Willock on the right side and let Almiron come for the middle. They give just something different, where his lack of right foot's not so apparent.
Yeah, even if you haven't got the players on the bench, try and do something with the players on the pitch.
Exactly.
I suggested back off on the press because then it would mean Bournemouth would have to do something. Which would open a bit of space, but I don't think Eddie Howe will ever do that. So
I mean, that last 20 minutes, Danielle, it was dreadful, wasn't it? Bournemouth were just clearing the ball. It was coming at this. I was burn or share, and then it was the same old. We couldn't break them down, and it was just
and then
so
when we did
frustrating.
get it, when the midfielders did get it, they were just passing it sideways or back.
Well, when it went to Longstaff, it was just going.
And everyone was going nuts. Like, what are you doing? Like, get it in the box. Like, I couldn't understand. It was like they just had no idea, did they? In the last 20 minutes, I don't know. It felt very strange in St James's Park yesterday. Very strange. The atmosphere was very quiet.
Yeah.
For the full game, in a few little pockets, there was noise, but I just thought it was just a very strange game yesterday in total.
Indeed. Christopher says it's fine for people to say, look where we were last year, but that was then. Although we have made good progress since then, we have the right to criticise performances when they're poor. Exactly. This is not Eddie Howe's team just yet, says Mark. Carlos says if we play like that against Fulham, we'll get trampled. I do think if we play as lacklustre as that, Fulham will beat us.
We'll lose against Fulham if we do that.
Yeah. Holidays says, glad we didn't get Paqueta. He didn't look brilliant today. Well, let's just judge him, give him 10 games or so, and then we'll see. Chipper says, was anyone baffled why Botman was dropped? Completely. And a lot of the fans around me were saying the same thing. They just did not understand. Why? Just doesn't make sense. Chris says, I think the team didn't have the heart or determination to get the win yesterday. I'm not going to say they didn't have the heart because, that I would never say that about the team under Eddie Howe, that we didn't have heart, because I think we do. I just think that, some of the players aren't good enough. You've got other players who are on a higher level to some of the others that have been there for too long now and just aren't on the same wavelength at all. And that will cause problems. Ab says there's no bench for plan B. That needs a few more windows. Yep, I agree with that. But like Billy said, you've got to try something different with with the players you have on the pitch as well. You can't, you can't just expect them to play the same old time after time, because teams work you out But what teams don't expect is to try something different, even for that last 20 minutes. Like Billy said, try putting Willock on the right-hand side, put Miggy through the middle. You know, just do something different. You know, or try going 2 strikers. But he didn't try anything different yesterday. Stu says, good evening. Some of the chat yesterday was shocking. Some of our fans are still stuck in the Ashley era. Sydney says, yesterday was part of the journey. Eddie will learn from it. We need to remember where we were. I'm not reading any more comments that say, look where we were last year, because it's bollocks. We're over it. Move on. We're missing leadership on the pitch.
And that first bit made sense, though, about the fact that Eddie's not, he's not the finished article in terms of a world-class manager right now. He's still learning. So these games will happen.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, Eddie will be the first to admit he's always learning, isn't he? I think he said that numerous occasions anyway. Corney is not doing so well as West Ham. Neither is Skamaka and Paqueta. Well, I think Corney's done all right, actually.
The West Ham fans are screaming for Moyes to actually start him a bit more. They're a bit annoyed that he won't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. David says, why did Howe not bring on Wood earlier, move Isak to the right and Big Joe on the left to have something different for the last 20 minutes? Tom says, what I liked is that Eddie didn't pull any punches. He told it straight and said it wasn't good enough. There was no blaming, no throwing players under the bus like a certain little cabbage slag. But he won't do that. We know what Eddie's like, but at least he's come out and said it. Don't get why Byrne was playing. Strange. I mean, does anybody have any idea why that was? I mean, look, we can say that about Botman maybe having a knock, but if he's having a knock, then...
I mean, it might be just giving faith in him and just allowing him to play against in a quote unquote easier fixture because he's,
But we know the Premier League. I think Eddie Howe, would that not be naivety for Eddie Howe? Because we know what the Premier League's like.
He kept faith with people last year that he was keeping players in the team that we were annoyed with, wasn't he? And even in the unbeaten run, we were still seeing certain performances from certain players we weren't super happy with, and he wasn't changing it. He's got his way in his players.
Nothing to be left out. That's what I've got to be.
Yeah, but nor is Byrne really. He has now. Now he has after that performance. It would be no surprise if
Botman's a much better player than Byrne for me. I mean, I
agree, but how
maybe Eddie Howe thought that Byrne could deal with Solanke more better than what Botman could. I don't know. I just don't see.
Well, he didn't. Brian says the lack of loans might come back to haunt us. Alan says we need wingers and a DM. Get rid of Fraser and Murphy. It's Bruce's team on the bench. Yeah. Lack of investment. Dear me, we've only had 2 windows to try and fix a team who were relegation certainties. We've invested very well so far. I don't disagree with that. What I do disagree with is I think we should have brought in a couple more possible loans in the summer.
I think we did try. I don't think that was our fault.
I think we did.
I think people just didn't want to deal with us. It's just unfortunate.
Yep, I think that's true.
But we're going to have a lot of that problem moving forward.
I think we stay away from the Premier League because they just waste our time. They just most of the clubs that we've been engaged with, I believe, wasted our time. So we'll go abroad. That's what Dan Ashworth will be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark says, yep, was terrible game, no quality. I still think they should have brought Wood on a lot earlier. Why bring him on with only 5 minutes left? Left a waste, complete waste of time. Julie says, that's it, no quality on the bench. And it's fair to say she's not happy with Jacob Murphy.
What was he doing yesterday when he came on? He was floating around like he was in the
Mind you, to be fair to Jacob Murphy, he did that one that was deflected out for a corner, that was going in. From where I was sitting.
He was subbed on to play left wing, and Joe Linton found himself on the left wing twice.
Well,
and Murphy and Joe Linton was just looking around, going, "Where's my pass?"
I'm just trying because I wasn't there. Trying to pick some positivity.
He was floating around like he thought he was Zinedine Zidane and just getting in people's way in the middle of the park. It was ridiculous. It was worse than usual, to be honest.
Straffy says, oh my God, yes, we don't have the depth on the bench yet, but we can't change 25 players in 2 windows.
Yep, very true.
I said that earlier.
Ian says, would you rather have a strong bench or a strong first team? We can't do both in 12 months.
Also true.
Jimmy says, I fully agree. We needed a few extra faces and missed some quality signings that could have been different in the last few games. Chris says he'd rather have a youngster on the bench versus Murphy, who shouldn't be anywhere near the team. Well, that's a bit frustrating as well. I mean, Danielle bringing youngsters through. Why not? Why not?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. But it just seems like Eddie is very cautious about doing so. I don't really know what to say, to be honest with you, because I agree with you. I agree with you. I think, we've got some very talented young players at our club right now, but obviously Eddie's seeing something that we're not.
Yeah, I don't think they're as talented as people would have you believe, because if they were, they would have been given a chance. Like, I'm shocked that Munoz has not been given a chance, considering he featured in preseason slightly, like on the bench. I think he got subbed on for a couple of minutes, didn't he? But apart from Anderson, I don't know. Are these youngsters as good as we think? Because ultimately, I don't watch the youth games. I can't get up to watch them. But I don't know. It's
debatable again. I mean, look, Fraser yesterday had not. People are talking about this shot he had in the first half. What about that one in the second half? Right, when he had bags of time just to place it in the bottom corner, and he put it wide. Now, you don't get that amount of time every day in the Premier League to set yourself and just bend it in the corner, man. And he puts it wide. Unbelievable. Jim says, Paul, your match vid today was funny. You spoke to Danielle and looked like a giant. Then interviewed Michael, I think, who was a foot taller than you. Yeah, that was freaky. Michael was good evening, Michael, if you're watching. You tall man. Very tall man.
What did you say at the time? You said, I feel normal.
Yeah, I felt normal interviewing somebody who I had to look up to and put the microphone upwards instead of downwards. I know when I was interviewing Danielle, I practically had to sit on the floor.
Don't start.
But obviously, Michael was he was huge. Mark says, I nearly smashed my TV up. I was that frustrated. Ryan says, I get how he's somewhat handcuffed, but I'd like him to change formations and or swap wingers. That game was called now for a 4-4-2 or 3 at the back with more numbers in midfield and or attack. Can't agree with that.
I just think Fraser off for anybody would have made sense. Fraser off for Wood makes sense. Fraser off for Longstaff and put Longstaff as a 6 and push Bruno up and let Joe Linton or Willock go out wide. Like, take Fraser off for any of 3 players on that bench and we could have done something different. Yeah. I think Fraser was a huge problem in that game.
Steve says, we don't have the players who can control a game and break teams down. We were pushing forward, but then we're very static in the box, like statues, no movement. The movement yesterday was abysmal, and that was one of the things that the fans definitely picked up. Billy, I don't know what it was like, again, during the watch-along, but the movement from things like throw-ins, etc., it was just non-existent.
Some of the throw-ins took forever because there was literally people standing in front of the throw-in and not making any moves to get away from markers. Yeah, I mean, I think we wasted a lot of our own time, to be honest, with that happening quite regularly, especially on the right-hand side. It didn't. I don't think they're tired as such, and I don't think there was lack of effort, but just sometimes lack of common sense, really. And stand by people that are come on, get away from your markers. Simple stuff, but it wasn't good.
We are 10th in the league, only lost 1 game, 3 points off the top 6. Let's not get carried away. It's a good start. Nobody's getting carried away, and I'm just saying it was a crap performance yesterday. We are 10th, and it's okay. There's no panic setting in, but we were crap yesterday. That's just the bottom line. We've literally turned from an easy to beat team that couldn't hold on to a draw, turn into being annoyed when we get a draw. Howe has brought us a long way and is obviously the right man for the job. That nobody's debating that at all. And listen, all the idiots that are coming out saying, how out. Just ridiculous. This is interesting. Paul, you're a hypocrite. Sorry, mate, but you are. Well, call me a hypocrite. Why? Why am I a hypocrite? What have I said that's hypocritical?
Explain it. Otherwise, we can't.
It's fine for you to call me a hypocrite, but, give me a reason. Jesus. Tom says they got desperate at the end, taking ridiculous shots from anywhere. There was one from Willock. My God, I mean, he did the hard part, and then he hit the volley as the ball was still rising.
Level 7.
Oh dear, God Almighty!
Brilliant bit of skill to get to that position, but the shot,
fantastic! Christ. Yeah, just again, it was just the finishing product that really let us down. Phil, I understand that you haven't got your top yet because it's still sitting here. I haven't posted anything while the posted strikes have been going on because I don't trust them. So now that the postal strikes are over and done with, I will start sending stuff out again. I was told by the post office not to post anything just in case things went awry somewhere when they were on strike. So I haven't posted anything out. They will be sent out to you this week, mate. Obviously not tomorrow, but I will be posting it out on Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll get you, buddy. Wayne says you got Chris Woods on the bench. He will save your season, says Wayne Hood.
It's not that Chris Woods, unfortunately.
No, I think Wayne is that Wayne's is that Chris's brother? Maybe Hayne Wood by any chance? Just put his name back to front. Ian says we're fecking mint in comparison. Ian, I'm not even reading that because you've done a comparison to 12 months ago again, and it's just bollocks. It's beyond belief people are calling for Howe's head. Do these people have turnips? Yes.
There's no way these people exist. Surely not.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
I've not seen one person, but mind you, I don't.
Really?
I'm not on social media a lot, to be honest. So
quite a few.
I've been watching The Crown, as you all know. So,
indeed. Jack says, I feel like Shea yesterday couldn't be arsed. He did have that kind of look about him yesterday. Crazy.
Benefit the doubt for one performance, but if he does it again...
Yeah, look, he's not... This is the thing about footballs. They're not going to be brilliant every single game. There is players that are going to have off days. You know what I mean? So, and Shea definitely had one yesterday. Paul says, even in all, such a disappointing game Saturday, bewildering that Bruno is still playing too deep. Murphy on, lackluster display apart from Isak. We had moments, but no excuses now. Asif said, Asif, every time I read your name, I think back to the 90s and say, Acid! And then Acid Badger. Do you remember the badges, Billy? The big smiley faces?
Yeah, the little two eyes in this.
Aye, yeah. Anyway, just have to remember it will get better. We are 10th in the league. The gap isn't huge. Botman may have been better for distribution. We did hit the post and the keeper made some good saves. Anthony says, Eddie Howe definitely doesn't deserve booed. It's just pure lunatics that are thinking that surely we are class outfit. To be fair, we just had a crap game. Yeah, we had a crap game. Andrew says, no more 7-0s then. No, it's all down to you, Andrew. It is your fault because you start that and then we join in with it. So it's all your fault. Whispers are that Botman was carrying a knock. Right, well, if he was carrying a knock, here's the gripe I've got with that, right? If Botman was carrying a knock, then he seemed to run fine in the warm-up. And he also, during the match, was sent out sprinting up and down the touchline. So if he was carrying a knock and there was no intention to put him on the pitch, why send him out to jog up to do stretching and running up and down the touchline? What sense is there? Just, I don't think my 3-0 prediction isn't asking too much against a team that's favourites to go down, considering how much we've spent and the expectations around us.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Ollie says Newcastle are a mid-table side.
Okay.
Can't disagree at the moment.
I'm not actually.
I think it depends what you mean by side, because you've written side, which is a bit ambiguous there. If you say squad, maybe. First 11, no, I think we're better than that. It's, I
think our first 11's top 7. I really genuinely do believe that. But
it's just going to depend. Where we finish is going to depend on how many games this season we can get our best 11 out. And that is going to be the difference between getting 10th and 8th, 7th, 6th. It just depends.
Yeah. Turpy, give it up. Ollie's got an opinion and he's fine with that. No, none of that crap, please. Paul says, trouble is that's 2 games now with the Palace game, which we were against poor teams there to beat, and we simply haven't been good enough to score the goals we need. But we knew this was an issue already.
See, they're not there to beat, though, are they? They're there to stop us from winning, and that's what they've done, basically.
Yeah. So we're slagging Eddie Howe off now. Who is slagging Eddie Howe off? Ian, are you actually listening to this show, what's being said? Because I don't think none of us have slagged Eddie Howe off. If anything, we've been, we've seen Eddie Howe made some mistakes, Ian. He's allowed to make mistakes.
Eddie Howe,
everyone will.
Eddie Howe's echoed what we've said, that we weren't creative enough, we were lacking certain things. If you go and listen to Eddie Howe's post-match interview, we're not saying anything too distant from that. We're fans. We're allowed to we're not being mean. We're being pretty fair.
See that? Just don't listen properly. Never mind. Renier said, "That's footy, guys. We always expect a bit too much. 10th is fine. We'll be all right." There's the voice of calm, Renier. Ryan says, "If ASM somehow isn't fit for Fulham, we should ditch the 4-3-3 because that formation peaks when he plays. Also, can someone drives 4 hours or whatever to drop Fraser back to Scotland? Absolutely useless." Foxy says, "We score yesterday with Wilson on the pitch. When he's out, we're missing a forward player who lives off scoring goals." Yeah,
I think he'd be a bit more clinical in the box. Let's be honest. I think his movement in the box is better than what we've got at the minute. But I think Isak will get that way. Isak will get that way. He's only played 3 games. He's getting used to the players around him. It's hard to criticise him for that.
Wilson's
got nous, whereas Isak hasn't yet.
Yeah,
Ian, I know your comment was meant at the chat, mate, but I haven't seen that many people in the chat having to go at how either. I've seen a couple, but I haven't read them out deliberately. So just you've got your opinion, mate. Just don't get riled up by the how out gang because they're talking bollocks. Right. Some graphics.
I do. These are all of our shots and sort of showing where they're from, what the result was, the XG.
Right, Alex, if you just go through that, I'll be back in 2 seconds, okay?
Yeah, no worries. So this is the penalty. This is Isak's penalty. Penalties, funnily enough, are a 0.79 XG. So that means 79% of penalties tend to go in. So one thing that we haven't mentioned yet that really irritated me. Does anybody remember Fabian Scher's shot from about 400 miles out, if I can find it? Jesus wet. So 0.02 there. Willock's shot, which was awful as well, was a 0.01. I think this was Scher's other one. This yesterday was actually given a 0.00. It was given a nothing for XG for that. He tried a shot from so far bloody out. It was like 10 yards further back than the Nottingham Forest goal. It was very far back. So I was a little bit frustrated with how many long shots we tried. I think the odd one, fine, but I think we took a few too many there. I think the lads were getting a bit frustrated. I think the coaches will reel that in. A few really good shots. I mean, if you look at the cluster of shots here, Bournemouth have got 4 inside the box here and a few sort of just outside the D. Look at the shot map there. Getting an XG. If I scroll down, we've got an XG of 1.92 with the penalty included to Bournemouth's 0.75. We've got to be scoring more than just a penalty from this shot map. I mean, we can click on a few here. We've got Joe Linton here with not given very good XG values from some of these attempts saved. And then over on the right, we've got Scher's attempt, which was reasonably nice. Willock was a miss. Miggy was a block. And then round the left side, you've got some of Fraser's shots. Miss. Murphy's was blocked. Fraser's was missed. Linton's was saved. Joe Linton on the post. And then obviously we had, I think this is Trippier's is here. Trippier's hits the post as well. So that's 2 on the post. So this shot cluster, it's a lot of shots. We just need a bit more quality. I think somebody commented earlier on in the show that we didn't control and we didn't finish. I disagree. I think we did control. I think we controlled the entire game. The possession suggests that. Shots suggest that. I just think the problem here, if we go to the tactics board, is what people are saying is, for example, you've got Fraser making let's scroll up and bring our fullbacks. So you've got Fraser being very, very static here. I don't think Target had his best game offensively either. I thought he wasn't on the
Target
same
plays
page.
better with Maxi. Target seems to have seems to be a lot more productive when Maxi's in the team.
I mean, how often do you remember seeing Target here? Does anybody remember seeing Target here yesterday? I don't.
No,
I don't remember seeing him out here. I remember seeing him further back, and it was just these two sort of just getting in each other's way and having a bit of a mess around here, and then the ball just got recycled back out to around here, and it was the same problem on the right hand side as well. And I'm not going to blame Trippier for this necessarily. They both need to sort this out between themselves. It's not our problem. It's not Eddie Howe's problem. They need to sort this out. It's Miggy here. When he gets to here with the ball, he needs to make a decision whether to, if Trippier is not overlapping, He's got to make a decision. He's got to make a faster decision. We weren't playing with enough speed at all. There wasn't enough first touches. People were taking too many touches and allowing them to get back into shape. If Trippier's not doing the overlap, Miggy needs to play his right foot or try and drive at the defender or just do something.
But the problem I've got there, Alex, is when, Almiron has got to be whipping that ball in with his right foot, right? Because if Trippier overlaps too many times, we've got nobody covering that right back position, and we're getting into trouble. Sometimes Trippier yesterday was playing lovely little rolled balls down the line for Almiron just to whip in. A right-footed player
exactly.
could have just, and by the time we turned again, the attack's dead.
Miggy gets to here. There was that one thing I mentioned earlier where he did get a cross in and it went straight to Neto, but he didn't. He was getting to the byline and he was cutting back, recycling it back out to Trippier, and then the ball was going back into midfield again, and it was just much of a muchness. And the deliveries were pretty poor as well. Let's be honest, they weren't beating first defenders. A lot of these balls were getting headed away quite easily. I don't think the deliveries were particularly good either. And on top of that, the positioning of our players in the box was pretty poor. Like, for example, if they were coming from this side, Trippier's balls were generally aimed sort of at the here, and our sort of nearest player was behind the penalty spot, and just the positioning inside the box was also quite poor. I think that's why we needed Wilson. But going back to here, if we have a scroll down so people can see some slightly more detailed shots. Yeah, it's not good enough. Bournemouth out XG'd us from open play, which is not what we want. We want to be good in open play. We don't just want to be set piece merchants with Trippier and fancy corners and back heel corners from Bruno. We want to be good. We want to be good at football. It's what we're trying to do. So this is just awful. It's not good enough. And ultimately, most of our XG came from the penalty. We got a bit from set plays. We got 0.46. It's just not good enough. Obviously, we got a lot more XG in the second half, but that was because of the penalty as well. And we're just producing enough here to warrant a win, and it just didn't happen. If we have a look at the actual control of the game, 556 accurate passes to their 165, 350 in their half. And this is where people, right, before you finish the comments that you're typing, I know there's 2 or 3 people, I get that stats don't win you points. I agree with you. We need to be converting this dominance into goals and results. This is not good enough. It was that quality. And as we've seen, so many shots, some of them erratic. This was when you went, Paul. I highlighted I was a bit frustrated by people taking shots from this distance. I thought Shares was ridiculous decision-making. That gave them about 3 goal kicks that wasted time where we could have had the ball and carried on. I've not really got anything else to show, to be honest. It's just frustrating. We can show you their goalkeeper just to show you that he was all right. If SofaScore wants to load. There we are. One thing I did want to highlight while we've got him up is just how one-dimensional we are without Maxi. So 120 touches. 120 touches from our right back. Look at his average position here. That's outrageous.
He was our most forward player at the end of the game. That's 20 minutes.
He tried 16 crosses and 7 long balls. It just, everything came through Trippier. So without Maxi or Bruno being deep, no Maxi, no Wilson, it's so obvious where our threat's coming from. It's just let Trippier do things. And it can't just be that, because they worked it out and they shut us down very well in the box. They got back into formation very quickly. They were very good in their defensive transition, and they did a perfect game plan, and we just misfired completely. It's just not good enough. And then Philip Billing with a 7.7, and then Neto with their highest rating. And how did he do? He got 5 saves from inside the box, 4 high claims. He was very good at coming out and claiming, to be fair. I think he did very well. I think he was very, very tidy.
He was, but some of the crosses that he had to come out and claim, there was nobody near him. But he did, in the second half, there was a couple of crosses which he did really well. He came through his own players as well to get the ball. But look, it is what it is. Seattle Geordie, I know you sent in a $5 super chat, so thank you very much for that. I didn't get to see what the comment was, but I will get to it in the chat. But it is time for that Danielle's favorite part of the review show. We have our player ratings, and we will start off this week with me. I will go for Nick Pope, and I'm going to give Nick Pope a 7. I think, again, he was solid, did what he had to do, didn't look like being beaten yesterday, apart from the goal, which he had no chance with. But again, coming for crosses, very composed, coming out, playing with his feet. I was happy with Nick Pope again, but again, he didn't really have to make any world-class saves yesterday. So a steady 7 for Nick Pope. Billy, Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, hard one to mark because his leadership was fantastic as always. He was pushing us on as much as he could. And as I said before, he was most forward player most of the second half. However, some of the stuff he actually did with the ball wasn't great. The crosses weren't great. He kind of went missing for the goal also. But Trippier is a class player, but I can't give any more than 6, to be honest.
Going with a 6 for Kieran. Opposite side, Matt Target, Alex? Hang on, I just want to bring this comment up from Roy Watson. I love this show, but I'm switching off now as it's too negative for me tonight. We had a poor day at the office, but for me, doesn't warrant this much negativity.
You missed a cracker later on when he calls us so-called fans. So
yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I'm the one who's literally had to sit here and defend Maxi from hate.
Sorry, it's fickle fans again. Are we supporters of this club or followers? Roy, a supporter, right? We are supporters, and supporters, proper supporters, right, will call out good and bad performances. As we've said all night, it wasn't the greatest performance of the season. What do you expect us to do? Sit here and go, oh, whoopie-doo, Newcastle, oh, whoopie-doo. No, because it was dreadful yesterday. And if we hammered Bournemouth 4-0, we would be on fire tonight saying, what a brilliant performance, fantastic. But it wasn't. So we're not going to sit here and bullshit people that are viewing or bullshit people that are viewing it further down the line. We were poor yesterday. So I'm very sorry for speaking the truth, Roy, but if you want to go and disappear, that's fine. But you can't have it both. You can't have your cake and eat it and just think, oh, I'll watch. It's going to be negative sometimes if we don't play well. Give your head a shake, man.
Yes, we drew 1 each at home to Bournemouth.
Exactly.
I'll say what I normally say is the coaching staff will be sat with the players highlighting the same deficiencies in the performance and trying to improve on it. Why can't we do that as fans?
Exactly.
It's not negative. It's realism.
Christ, Roy, honestly, if that's it, Jesus, God help you, man, in life, because if you think everything's, unicorns and fluffy clouds and daisies, then that's fine. But this channel ain't, mate. We speak the truth on this channel. So if you don't like it, fine, switch off. Matt Target, Alex.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one with Matt Target. I think I thought the ref had a good performance for the rest of the game, except in the first 20 minutes, which is when I tweeted about the refs being rubbish. It was in relation to the first 20 minutes, and then it improved from then on. Matt Target got blown for 2 fouls that were not fouls. He did okay defensively. Offensively, I thought he was a bit lost. I don't think he understood how to look. I mean, arguably, I haven't gone and watched the game back again. I normally do watch it twice for a review. I'm going to go back and do it again, but I don't think he linked up very well with Fraser. I'd have to go and double check whose fault that was, or I don't know if it was Target specifically. I just didn't see enough from him offensively, which we knew he wasn't the best offensive left back. We know our attacking fullback is on the other side in Trippier. We just needed somebody else to be a bit more aggressive. I can't give him more than a 6. I mean, okay, no. If Trippier gets a 6, then Target's going to get 5. I've got to give my rating based on. Well,
no, I
personally,
think
I would have given Trippier maybe slightly more, but we don't do halves on this show, so
no.
I feel like it's not fair to give Target the same as Trippier because Trippier was better. So by that standard, I've got to give him a 5.
I'll tell you what, Alex, I'll give Trippier a 7 then, so you can give him a 6.
No, I'll give Target a 6 then.
No, you can't go backwards. It's moved on, Billy.
It's done. It's done. Sorry, it's locked in.
6
Listen, we can't really sit here and say that it was a poor performance and then start going, "Oh, we should have given 7s." And no,
yeah,
that's fine.
I agree.
Right, Danielle, you get Dan Burn.
Oh, it's a hard one.
Now, just to let you know, by the way, Danielle, tonight your play ratings cannot be flowers and unicorns.
Does my face look like flowers and unicorns?
Tulips.
It's a trap. Don't answer that.
I'm not getting.
Don't start, right? Paul got the rant yesterday.
Yes, I did actually.
Not?
Can I just say, by the way, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and a gentleman came over talking to Alex and said, sorry, Danielle, and said that your lips look lovely. Danielle leapt, I would say, a good 4.5 foot in the air in my direction and punched me in the top of my arm, which ended up me having a dead arm for an hour afterwards. It was a ferocious, abusive action that really had a police officer seen that, she would have been in His Majesty's pleasure now. Undoubtedly, because it bloody hurt. Anyway, Dan Burn, Danielle.
4.
Wow. Okay.
Worst game is in a black and white trailer, like Alex said. I don't care. I'm not bothered. Usually I'm overly positive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a very good mood today. So it's a 4.
His stats are not bad, but the stats don't show his funny passes and his. This is where you've got to do the eye test and stats and mix it together. It was
and his Cruyff turn in the corner of the box.
Oh God, yeah, I don't know why he did that.
Yeah, but his passing, we said it at the beginning of the show. You know, his passing was like, you know, the one in the first half when he passed it to Target for literally 5 yards away, and it nearly took Matty Target's head off. He did well to control the ball, to be fair. So, you know, congratulations to being able to keep that ball. I'm just going through some, excuse me, Seattle Geordie said on his super chat, is it just me, but the few times they showed Amanda Staveley, she did not look happy at all. Do you think there will start to be pressure from above? Well, she looked pretty happy at the ladies' game today, so obviously she's not going to be happy that we didn't win the game, but, you know.
People do this in the watch-along as well. Like, I don't think you can take the emotions of she wants us to win. She probably feels like we do. She's a fan. It doesn't mean that. It depends whether she's got her owner's hat on or a fan hat on, and we don't know that. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on.
Indeed,
it's difficult to say anything.
Yeah, Barber's Audio, thank you very much for your $2.99 Australian dollars. And they're going to say Paul's instant reaction scared me yesterday. Well, if that one scared you, go and look at some of the ones under Steve Bruce. You'll have nightmares, pal. Don't forget, guys, please do hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget the red button. Subscribe. It is free to do so. And hit that notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload. Right. I've missed another. Ian, thank you very much for your £4.49 super sticker made from Ian, the Toon trader. Now, I get Fabian Schär. I think it was slightly better than Dan Burn. I'm going to give Schär a 5. Some of his passing was distinctly off yesterday. There was no doubt about it. But as with Alex, he's one of my favourite players at the moment this season. And I think he's been outrageously good for us all season, and he's due a bad game. So, you know what? He can't be brilliant every game, and I'm sure he'll know he could do a lot better. So a 5 for me for Schär. Most people are going along with that. Julie J's give us 6, Abs has give us 6, but pretty much a 5 or a 6 across the board there. Billy, we move on to the midfield, and you get Bruno.
Yeah, you could tell he'd been out for a few weeks. I thought at times he looked rusty, but he did some good things also. But we're missing further at the pitch, and playing number 6, which we have to because of the injuries to Shelby, obviously. Hard to mark him. I'm going to give him a 6.
Okay, well, I'll agree with that. I think he still looked way above everyone else, didn't he? He still did some really good things on the ball.
Statistically, he's still ticking over 90% pass accuracy, 5 tackles, 7 ground duels. He was. Even when he has a bad day, he's still miles above a lot of other players. He's still brilliant.
Absolutely. Right, Alex, you get Joe Willock.
Ooh, that's a spicy one. That is a very spicy one. I thought he was one of the few players that actually tried to make a few things happen. We talk about certain players weren't trying different things. I think he was one of the few that was trying different things. Yeah. It wasn't coming off, but I appreciate the hard work and the graft. He was trying a few technical things. He tried to get to the byline on both wings. He tried to dink little balls over. He had a few shots. I appreciate that. He's a 23-year-old lad. He took I think he was trying to pick the team up by the scruff of the neck on his own at a couple of phases. It didn't work.
I don't actually get the hate towards Joe Willock.
I liked that. I liked his effort. I
thought he was our best player.
I feel like it's really. I don't want to give him more than Trippier, but I'm stuck between a 6 and a 7. I think a 7 is a bit flattering, but a 6 is a bit unfair. We can't do 6.5s, but
nope.
I mean, it was him that hit the. No, it was Joe Linton at the post, wasn't it? Joe Linton and Trippier.
He showed drive yesterday that we haven't seen him for a while. Trying to drive through the defence. Actually,
so I'm going to give him a 7. I'll give him a 6 for the performance and an extra point because I really appreciated him trying to make other things happen. There were more experienced players on the pitch that were devoid of ideas, and he was trying, and I really do appreciate that. So I think I'll give him a 7 from me.
Okay, Danielle, Mr. Joe Linton.
I think Joe. He was trying. Bless him. Took a yellow. I mean, it was. I don't know if it was a yellow or not, but he had a shot, which I mean, give him a 7.
7. Okay. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Right, we move to the front three, and I will start with Miggy. Difficult one, Miggy. I mean, his work again. His work rate's fine, but it's not all about work rate now. It's really not. I'm going to give Miggy a 5 because I really think he should start. Why he's not working on right foot in training, I'll never bloody know. But that's up to them. So Miggy gets a 5. Other side, Fraser, Billy.
Dear me. The one shot is basically all he could contribute the whole game, I thought. I'm going to give him 1 for that shot alone.
You give him a 1? Wow.
A 1 out of 10.
Okay.
That shot. Because he contributed some 0 of nothing apart from that.
I've got a funny quiz for you about the two wingers, Miggy and Fraser. Do you want to take a guess at how, well, this might vary from data providers to data providers, but how many crosses do you think SofaScore's credited both of our wingers? Like 3. Accurate crosses.
3.
None.
0.
Wow.
None.
Yeah, well, doesn't surprise me. Alex, you get Mr. Isak.
It's got to be a clear 7, a comfortable 7, because he scored. It can't be any lower than that. 3 shots on target. His dribbling was all right. Again, his link up, a few nice little moves. I think he's really missing having, Maxi, Bruno higher up. He wants to feed off players. That was how he played at Sociedad. He had a partner. Yeah. He had a 10 behind him.
I can't wait till Wilson. I think the front three are Wilson, Isak, and Maxi. That's going to cause hell for everybody.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And I really, really liked the fact I mentioned this. Was it a half time? I'm not sure. Where he was getting quite bullied physically in that first half, and I was really impressed that second half. Yeah, he didn't drop his head, and he actually came out and looked better. So for a young man in a new league, especially with the criticism about this whole signing thing, he didn't care. He rolled his socks up.
He took some elbows in that first half to be in the head.
He did. And the penalty, I'm pretty sure he hit the side netting. Freaking amazing!
Oh, it was brilliant.
Cracking penalty, lovely penalty. So
delicious.
Yeah, a solid 7. If he'd have had a bit more service, which is not his fault, it might have been an 8. So, look forward to seeing him with Maxi.
Absolutely. Right. The substitutes, Danielle, Sean Longstaff.
I'm going to give
an all-time low. Come in here. An all-time low. I can consider sitting.
Could be.
I'm going to give him a 4.
Oh, Danielle's given somebody a 4. Wow.
Just didn't inspire me at all. Didn't.
Well,
I mean,
no,
it was
terrible.
It was a fairly uninspiring afternoon, to be fair. Let's be honest. However,
Agreed. It
more
were poor. Right, Jacob Murphy for me gets a 1. We'll move on. Chris Wood not on the pitch long enough. So we move to the manager, Edward Howe. Billy, you can start us off on Eddie Howe.
Look, he's not got anything to kind of fall back on if plan A isn't working, but he could have done more on the pitch, I felt. Eddie Howe's scores, for me, this past few weeks has gone down by a mark each week. So I'm going to give him a 6.
6, yeah. Alex?
Murphy, no crosses either, by the way. So that's all 3 wingers that played any part, not a single cross.
Right, Murphy 0 then. But I can't change it. I've given him a 1. We've moved on, but never mind. Eddie Howe, Alex?
I mean, this is personal. This is purely personal, and this is, my ego. I wanted to see something different in the substitutions. So I'm going to give him a 6. I personally, I think he's trusted Longstaff in the 6th position recently. Why not trust him against Bournemouth? Why not bring Longstaff in as a 6? Let Bruno play further forward for half an hour. If he has his reasons, that's fine. But I feel like the fact that he's trusted Longstaff in that position, why not just let him have a go? And why were we playing such a direct Route 1 style without bringing Chris Wood on slightly earlier? Like, there was so many questions. I've never had so many questions. Why did we not mix up the wings? Why did we not swap them or try it? There were so many things that I'm not quite understanding, and I wish the journalists would ask some of these questions in the press conferences. They need to start asking more footballing questions, because it's why we watch football.
Agreed.
We need more answers.
Yeah,
I think the reason why I didn't bring Longstaff on earlier and push Bruno further up is because he knew that Bruno wasn't going to last 90 minutes. Therefore, by taking somebody else off, would have left us bereft in that number 8 position. So I think that's why he did it.
Look, it's the Willock thing I don't get. It's the Willock hammer that I don't get. I don't get why fans go at him. It's like the target Willock, like the target Shelby, and it doesn't really. He was one of our better players yesterday. I think Billy's already said it, but just
Shelby?
I don't get it. No, Willock. Why am I going to say Shelby? He wasn't playing, Alex.
Because you mentioned Shelby.
Yeah, because he gets this. Fans targeted him. When last season for wrong reasons, and they're doing the same with Joe Willock. In my opinion.
He's back in training. Shelby is. So
he's
on the grass out running.
And,
fingers crossed.
He looks extremely slim. I don't know.
He still looks lean as a cat. Yeah.
Aye. Right, Alex. Danielle. Edward Howe. Like
I'm not happy about this at all, but I'm gonna give him a 6. I don't know. I mean, I know the bench is pretty poor and he's got limited options, but I felt the game needed something changing. Like I say, maybe we could have gone 2 up front, and I don't know why he doesn't want to do that. I thought Wood could have been on sooner than he was, etc., etc. We've all said it before. It's not a happy week for me this week with these ratings. I don't like it.
I feel so hypocritical, I really do. Because I whinge when Wood comes on early, and now I'm whinging when he came on too late.
Yeah, but you're right what you say, Alex. The way we were playing yesterday, it was back to pumping the long ball into the box.
Yeah.
Get him in there. If that's what he can do, if that's a strong point. Yeah. I'll give him a 6 as well. I agree with everything you guys have said, to be honest, so it's pointless repeating it again. Just exactly the same things. Julie says some fans fixate on picking on certain players with no logic or mention of others. It's a repeating cycle, sadly. It seems to be, and Willock is this time taking over that kind of thing from
to be
John
fair to be fair to Howe, though, those 3 subs are the 3 subs we'd probably all choose. I mean, it's Murphy, Longstaff, and Wood. Yeah, those are the only realistic 3 sub options.
Yeah, but
we're only arguing about
something different on the pitch.
Yeah, I think we're only arguing about when those subs happened and who they came on for, arguably. So
I mean, he could have brought Rich on, couldn't he? He could have brought Rich on for Fraser. To be honest,
practically the same substitution. It's practically the same player at the moment.
Yeah,
so what different feet?
Anyway, finally, special mentions. Billy, any special mention for you this week?
I'm going to say Amanda Staveley for the way she dealt with the minute silence and the lane of the reef in the centre circle. I thought she was suitably. She looked great in the black. I've got to say, she looked great. She looked respectful in the black. Her and the Bournemouth chairman together, laying the reef in the centre circle. Well. Yeah, and laying the reef.
Just shows how much Eddie loves wearing suits, because literally 30 seconds after the game kicked off, he was back on the sideline in a tracksuit. Well, so he literally ran down to the dressing room and changed and came back.
It was like Brian Clough at the 91 Cup final, wasn't he? He came out and leave the team out and to kick off. He had his green sweatshirt back on again.
I know. Alex, any special mentions?
Yeah, I've just realised that Richie and Fraser are both right-footed before anybody tries to correct me on that. Probably Annie somewhere. Alexander Isak for the penalty. It's his second game at St James's Park. He's a young lad, huge expectations, massive fee. We're 1-0 down at home. A lot of people watching. Cracking penalty. And it's lovely to have a team in which we're not nervous about our penalty takers. We know Wood is a good penalty taker. We talk about his quality, but he's good at penalties. Wilson is very, very confident with his penalties. It's nice to have good penalty takers in the squad. I'm not scared when people step up for a penalty anymore. And it's very nice.
I was yesterday when he took that short run up there. I must be honest.
Oh, really?
I don't like short
run. He was very, very good at penalties for Sociedad. So he got a lot of pens for Sociedad, to be fair.
Absolutely. Danielle?
Yes, I would like to give a special mention to my friend, also known as the chairman, Michael Marsden.
Okay.
Because what a great man he is. Endless entertainment yesterday afternoon when he had the hottest chili burger known to man, and
that was
I think
funny.
It's fair to say
that was the hottest one I've ever seen him eat. And I think, the way the panic on his face, wasn't it?
He was sweating. I mean, literally, Lee had to open his Diet Coke for him because he's bottle of Coke because he just needed a drink so much. But no, seriously, just a lovely man, and a man that I'm proud to have as a friend. So yeah, shout out to Michael for being a gent.
Indeed. I'll second that. Absolutely. Nathan's asking what a chili burger is. Well, it's a burger with incredible amounts of chili in it and on it. And
you just kind of cried, didn't you, when you bit into it? It's the worst one yet.
It's the worst one yet. And then literally tears running down his face. And then he finishes and says, "Boy, I enjoyed that." Just like, what? And finally, my special mention, this is someone who I've wanted to give it to for a few weeks now, and that is John Joe. John Joe inspires me. He really does. Awful disability, stuck in a wheelchair, and he has such a zest for life. Every time he comes up at the end of the game or before the game with his mum, who, by the way, is the most loveliest person in the world. She is so kind and considerate and lovely to talk to. But John Joe, given what he has to battle every day, it makes you sort of realize that, what a privileged position people are in and don't realize it at times. And that John Joe just has an incredible zest for life. He goes all over the country following sport, and he's putting on his own football match soon, which he's asked me to play in.
I think that's wise. Anyway,
goalkeeper Danielle is a wise move. But look, he goes all over the country, and he's so funny. He's got the most incredible sense of humor. He loves taking the pee out of me. But he's just such a lovely guy, and his mum, and they're just brilliant to talk to after the game. Julie says, got to chat to John Joe for the first time. Lovely chap. He is, and just spending 5-10 minutes in his presence when he's just an incredible guy. So, John Joe, thank you for the laughs. Thank you for being who you are, and thank you to your mum as well, who is just so lovely as well. You both are. And it's a pleasure talking to you at the matches. And so John Joe goes to him tonight from me. But that is it, guys. That is the end of the match review. Not the result we wanted by any imagination at all. We don't have a show tomorrow night for obvious reasons. We are I don't care what anybody says. We are paying respect by not doing a show tomorrow. We will be back on Tuesday night with the fan forum. And then, of course, We have it's England at the weekend, unfortunately, but we will be doing watch-alongs for that. And we may be doing something different with a commentary. We may be doing sort of a commentator and a co-commentator this time. So it'll be like, it'd be like Martin Tyler and Gary Neville, except a million times better. So we've got both the England games covered. So do join us for them. There will be regular videos this week coming out through the day just to talk about Newcastle United, any news and things like that. So all your Newcastle United news will be on this channel, your England news on this channel. We'll cover the World Cup on this channel. Lots to come. So please do subscribe if you're new. It is free to do so. Hit that bell, which will tell you when we go live or we upload. And of course, please stick a like on the show if you have enjoyed it. It does send us up those search results, which we really need you to do. So there's well over 500 watched tonight. So if you can all just hit that like button, that would be fantastic. But thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you to you three, as per usual. Thank you to the super chatters, new members, everybody that's viewed. You are absolute legends. We love you all. And of course, the mod squad, thank you very much for your hard work behind the scenes. And we will see you on Tuesday night. Have a wonderful bank holiday as best you can, obviously with the Queen's funeral tomorrow, but enjoy the rest of the day after that, and we'll see you Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.